Hello all. This latest video is the record of a project I did with my daughter. She's homeschooled now, and we were thinking about an RT-DT project that we could do together that would take a few days and would involve numerous processes. She eventually settled on food landscape photography. And that's something that we've both had limited amount of experience in. I make macro scale sets for natural history documentaries, and one of her hobbies is making miniature food. So we started by selecting an offcut of some chipboard that I found in the basement as a base, and some bits of polystyrene packaging that we would carve into nice rolling hills. And to stick them together, we sprayed on a liberal amount of expanding foam, which is something I found will stick almost anything together. We did this in our garage. We put down a tarpaulin, as expanding foam does tend to ruin everything it touches if it's not supposed to be touching it. We kept the layers together with bamboo skewers and waited for the foam to go off. Once it was solid, we removed the skewers and could start carving the foam and the polystyrene into the shape of hills. And we wanted a curvy path meandering down the middle of the set, disappearing behind the hills in the distance. Once that was done, we gave it a coat of watered down PVA glue, which helped seal the foam and so that the forthcoming coat of paint would stick better. Painting was necessary because you don't want to see white between the elements of stuff you dress your set with. If there are gaps, then you want what's underneath to be either the same color or a bit darker. And then we went shopping. But once all the produce was home, we got to adding it to the landscape. We used broccoli as grand old trees. We cut the bases of the stems so they were in the same plane as the hills, and used skewers to make sure that they stayed standing and wouldn't be constantly knocked over. Then we started adding the cobbles for the path. We used sweet corn, laid cobble by cobble. The yellow brick road, if you will. To cover the areas in between the vegetables, we gathered some moss from the garden. Nothing at the supermarket seemed right to work as ground cover at this macro scale, but this moss was both abundant and free. What we did find at the supermarket was my favourite vegetable of all time, the Romanesco cauliflower, or broccoli, depending on how pedantic you want to be. The most fantastical, arresting, and mathematical vegetable ever created. The Romanesco cauliflower looked amazing, of course. We loosened the leaves of some Brussels sprouts, prying them apart slightly to make them look like giant cabbages. At this point, it's worth mentioning that we were intending the end photo to have a blue sky behind the landscape. But due to us undertaking this project in February in the UK, a sunny blue sky could not be depended on, so some post-shutter photo editing would be required. I cobbled together a background from some timber in the basement and a large sheet of paper, as this would make it easier to mask out to superimpose in an alternative. Celery looked great as the trunks of younger trees with parsley draped over the top, but celery sticks have no strength between the fibres and split really easily when we tried to skewer them. Also, we had to make sure that the stalks were tall enough to exceed the top of the frame when we took the resulting photo, so this one on the left had to go. We used some sprigs of dill for more ground cover, and then positioned the loaves of bread in the background to act as distant rocky mountains. As we didn't have a set of regular human figures to populate the scene, we chose some gummy bears and other sweet jelly animals. Then we took some photos with my DSLR and photo edited in a nice blue sky, and voila, the finished scene. well done to everyone who's made it this far in the video. I hope it's inspired you to create something similar at home. Stay creative, and thanks for watching.